To create a custom Docker image for Rabbitmq. So in this video I will be explaining one of the way to create a custom Docker image with a custom configuration by using the Rabbitmq command line tool. The agenda for this video is like creating a custom Docker image with the Rabbitmq management, setting up the default user and password, setting up the host name and permission, and finally enabling the Rabbitmq plugins we have inside. And before moving on to the terminal, right, I just want to give a little more introduction about the command line configurations, command line tool which is provided by Rabbitmq. So what we can do inside this command line tool. So it does the various operations. It entirely manages the Rabbitmq server by performing various operations, like you can start up the server, Rabbitmq services, and start up the Rabbitmq. You can also change the name. You can also add the user and setting up the host, virtual host, and the permission, and shutting down the server. There are many things you can do inside the Rabbitmq command line. To go through in detail about the features of a Rabbitmq Control, you can go through that link. It will provide the detailed information. Let's jump into the terminal and try to create the Docker stuff. Before going to the Docker stuff, I just want to clone my source code from my repository. Let's see if I have any. I don't have anything here. I'm just going to clone my source. So let me go back to the my repository. I'm just copying this URL. I'll be linking this URL inside the description, and yeah, so give a minute. It's cloned, so I'm going to the directory now. Yes, so you can see we have a list of files, like the files what we have here, like Docker file and init file, and some shell scripts are there. Let me go through one by one what we have inside the Docker file first. And the Docker file has few lines of command for pulling the image from the Docker hub for Rabbitmq, and tagged. I'm just pulling the Rabbitmq with 3.7 management tag, and have a few shell script like init.sh and config_rabbit.sh, and also executing the command for changing a mode for init.sh and config_.sh, and also I made an entry point as the init.sh. It looks very simple Docker file. Let me go inside what we have inside the init.sh. So inside the init.sh, so we'll having the executing the shell script of config_rabbit.sh and the launching the Rabbitmq server. This also looks pretty simple. And let me go to what we have inside the config_rabbit.sh. So here we have the few conditions or checking that whether I want to verify Rabbitmq server is up and running. I'm just using one of the command for verifying the server is up or not, service is up or not, by using the health check command. So for example, you can see like rabbitmq.ctl and checking the health check. Where it responds, I will come to know like Rabbitmq is running, otherwise it's waiting for a startup. So I'll giving a certain time interval to get startup by using a sleep command of 5. This works pretty well. And next step is we can move on to actual command. What are the commands is need to use for creating the users, setting the user tags, virtual host, and permission to host and management. Here we go one by one. Rabbitmq CTL with add user. Here I'm mentioning the username as a guest QA and password as a guest at 1. So this command will ensure creating the user. And the next command is we have called set user tag, so which I'm going to associate my user into particular tag as an administrator. So I'm just giving an guest UA as a user, which is already created in the previous step, and marking as a administrator tag. And the next step is like creating the virtual host by using a Rabbitmq CTL add vhost and my virtual host name. As a last step, I have the permission to be enabled for my host and the user. So I make sure that set permission -p my host name and the username, and the permission is I'm making as to everyone. And the last step is like enabling the management plugin. So we can use a Rabbitmq plugin. It's differ from the CTL, and Rabbitmq plugin enable. And the plugins we have MQTT, Federation Management, and Storm. We can enable all the plugin. So now we have the three files. Like we want to make sure creating the Docker image. So I'll go back to my slide. So after that we'll have to create a Docker image and run the container. So first step is to want to create a custom Rabbitmq image. So I'm just going to use the Rabbitmq Docker build command, and let me go back to the console, terminal. Docker build -t. I'm just going to use my image name what I need to have as a custom Rabbitmq and my Docker file in the present directory. I'm just giving 0. So it is going to pull image from the Docker hub, and it is copying all the configuration file shell script inside this, and now we can able to see the Docker images created successfully 8 seconds ago. And after creating the image, the next step is to want to run this image. So run as a container. So I want to have to run as a container to make sure it is run under the port called 8080. I don't want to conflict with the existing. So let me go back to my shell now. So I use a Docker run. Right now I'll do with the interactive mode and show you how it is getting created. And the port number as a 80802 mapping to 15672, which is the default of Rabbitmq management. And I'm just mentioning the which image to be run as a container. Rabbitmq image. And this go through the executing these steps for you can go through the command line output. Here we go. I started creating the host. So adding the user guest QA, adding creating user, adding the host, starting the permission. So it makes sure that everything puts under the persistent storage area. Okay, so now it's all the plugins and everything's got enabled now. So you can see MQTT plugin, everything enabled inside the image. So now let's come back to the browser and navigate to the just want to come back to the Chrome incognito mode. I open incognito. So here we go with the incognito mode. I'm just trying to access my IP address with the port number 8080. Yes, here we go. I have the Rabbitmq image container is running. I just was logged in with the username as a guest QA, and you can see the other options also already created. Go back to the admin tab where you can see guest QA as administrator, and the host is I have created a virtual host called my host, and you can see my host virtual host here. My host guest QA is running, and if you click on the host, you can see the permissions Yes, here we have the permission for everything: configure, write, and read. And so these are the way for creating the custom Docker image with the custom configuration, and you can make sure you can enable, declare the queues, declare the exchanges. Whenever we want to boot up the server, we can declare that also by using the Rabbitmq CTL command. I hope this video helps, gives you a little information about the custom configuration for the Rabbitmq. And thanks for watching this video.